and God bless you all. Lots to look at today, and just wait a few minutes for people to come onto the line. We're slightly early, I know, but it's incredibly hot today, and we want to, as always, cover a lot of material that is taking place in the Catholic Church. And people say, why do you even care? Well, we're former Catholics, number one. It's the biggest system in the world, and if you don't care about your lost friends and family, something's wrong with you, quite simply put. So, as always, grateful for quick visual and audio check. Once you get the notification, there's always a delay with YouTube, like a 60-second delay. So I think we're slightly early, and waiting for the notification to come through that we are live. And thank you, Brother David. God bless you. And okay, there's a notification. So like I said, lots to look at today, and as always, if you wouldn't mind, give us a quick thumbs up, let us know you can see us and hear us okay, and we'll start very shortly. And if you are a former Muslim, you will discuss Islam. Well, of course, if you come into Judaism and now I believe in Jesus, you would discuss Judaism. Well, of course. So we are former Catholics, and we discuss the Catholic Church because, of course, we have come from that system. We have an interest in that system. We have a passion for Catholic friends and family, and it's critical that we discuss these points, because if we don't, who is? And not just that, we are, I won't say experts, but we know what we're talking about. A lot of your commentators about the Catholic Church never went through the Catholic Church. They read about it in books. It's like Freemasonry. Never been one myself, but I read a lot about the Masons or secret societies. Again, read much about those groups. Never been one myself. But when you come out of that system yourself, you are qualified to speak about what you know to be so. So let's get into this morning's discussion. As always, Patrick spends time putting stuff together. And what have you picked up for us to talk about today?
Well, first of all, good morning, everybody. I spend part of the week combing the internet and the website, looking at pods and articles and so forth. And I pick up items which I think you'll be of interest. If you've seen these items yourself and you've got a view on it, please let me know. Because, you know, we throw this open to everybody, all our audience out there. So I'll begin with some not minor things that I picked up on, because I want to get some more of the heavier stuff. First of all, one of the European papers fit the fact that women in Rome, at a big ceremony in Rome, women Eucharistic ministers were giving out communion in Rome, and they seem to have the full authority of the church behind them, wearing the vestments and everything. So whether there's a step forward to having women become deacons for ordination priesthoods, I don't know, but it was very interesting to see them. And some of the vestments, I thought I didn't really realize if they'd been made themselves. And some of these women had very strange makeup on and dyed red hair and all this sort of thing. It reminded me of a clown. But anyway, this happened recently. It's like all of these things, they suddenly come in from nowhere and you think, oh, that's different, hadn't seen that before. And suddenly after a while, you accept it. And, you know, it's a bit like, here's an example to talk about. It's coming to the top of my head. Greenham Common, 1980s. President Reagan announced that cruise missiles are going to be situated in Norfolk as a retaliation of the Russian SS, I think it was the SS-19s or SS-20s, I think it was the SS-20s. And some of the local women weren't happy with this. And they said, oh, I'm not sure about this. It means that first wave of bombers is going to hit us. We're women, we're families, we've got everything like, we don't like this. So we're going to try and occupy outside the base. Nothing wrong with that, you think, a couple of women there. And then one woman said, well, I'm going to go on Radio Norfolk and ask other women to come and join us. Suddenly there's more women coming in there. This comes from nowhere, of course. And then suddenly comes up the idea, why don't we get as many women as we can to circle the base? wow, this is a big base, this American base. It's got woodland in there. Let's circle the base to show that we do not want these cruise missiles sighted here. We don't care where else they go, but we don't want them here. They're not going to circle the base, are they? Well, they did. Women from Northern and someone from our family went there as well, and they did circle the base. They sang all the hymns, all the protest songs, "Hang Down Your Head, Tom Julie,"
We'll overcome.
"We Will Overcome," or definitely "We Will Overcome." "I Know in My Heart We Will Overcome," which, was the Martin Luther King thing, and it did work. Well, that came from nowhere. And apparently one of the correspondents, I think it was John Simpson, he said he had heard that even in the White House they knew about this circling, and Nancy Reagan knew about it, and she said, all those women, thousands of women circling the base, that's something, Ronnie. And it really was. Didn't do much good in the end. The American base stayed there. I think the missiles went, that's right, they sent them over to Germany instead, but and I think later they quietly came back and went somewhere else, but it came from nowhere. That's what I'm saying. And suddenly seeing all these women giving out communion in Rome there came from nowhere. Okay, then what else did I pick up? Oh yes, an article in one of the papers, quote, queer black actress is to play Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar. Wow. And I saw a picture of this woman. She's stick thin, she's got a bald head, and she's got long pointy nails.
Ideal person.
Ideal place to play Jesus Christ Superstar. And somebody asked Andrew Lloyd Webber, the composer, he said, "I think it's wonderful. We want diversity," or words to that effect. And I'm thinking, well, Andrew, could we not have a musical about Muhammad's wives or something like that? We've had 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. Why can't we have a musical about that? Or A Day in the Life of Buddha or something? It's always Jesus Christ.
Or Confucius says.
Or Confucius says. It's always Jesus Christ who becomes the whipping boy. Oh, yeah. And they say, oh, well, we've got to have this, got to have that. And I thought it was rather unpleasant looking at this woman with these long nails. Reminded me of Dracula.
Give you nightmares, wouldn't it?
Well, it would. She got this shaved head and she's like this. Yeah, she's an awful picture. So that was that. I picked that up. I don't know if anybody else saw it. Do you know anything about it? She was down to play the role of Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm not sure whether it's actually opened or not yet. So if you know anything about
Who are these sick people that want to go and see this stuff? You couldn't pay me to go and see this stuff. You really couldn't.
No. Even when it came out, it was very controversial.
Even before I was saved, you couldn't pay me to go and watch this stuff.
And I remember Lord Longford. Remember old Lord Longford? He went along and he protested against it. He was outside, I think it was in Drury Lane, along with Mary Whitehouse, and I think Cliff Richards was there. They set this little movement up, but they protested against it. Anything went on. It's still running Jesus Christ Superstar.
Blasphemy.
And of course, as I remember, there's a unnatural relationship between Judas and Jesus in it. And Mary Magdalene comes into it. How can I love him when he loves someone else? Who are you saying he loves, Mary? Possibly he loves Judas. You can see where this is going.
Wasn't this written back in the 60s?
A bit later than that. I think it's 70s or something like that. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
it come from America or Britain?
Britain. Andrew Lloyd Webber's an English composer.
Yeah, but I mean the actual screenplay, was it?
Webber? The film. They made a film of it.
Yeah,
it was American money.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think they made the film. It was American money. It did very well.
And Webber picked it up, made it into musical.
No, Webber made a musical first. Then it was turned into a film. Okay. Yeah, and of course, it was a bestseller. And some of the songs are quite catchy. He does write catchy music and so forth. But Andrew, why don't you take the Muslims on? Come on. Why don't you take the Buddhists on?
Or the Masons.
Or the Masons. Take the Masons on. Maybe you got connections. I would like to say, I don't know. So I picked that up. Yes, the death penalty suddenly come up again is the death penalty admissible? Well, the church seems to be a bit vague about it. They're saying sometimes it's acceptable. But make sure the killer does not get more interest or sympathy than the victim. It's an open question. Now, the Bible says, the commandment says, thou shalt not kill. Then you say, well, okay, then, but what about the just war? We all know about the just war. Is it justified? Now, the IRA say, yes, it's justified. We can blow up people, we can kill people, and they did. They did some terrible things, the IRA. Jerry Adams, Martin McGuinness.
Catholic organisation also.
Say, it's a just war because we want a united Ireland. And I knew a guy years ago when we lived in Croydon. He was courting a girl who lived in North London. You know what I'm talking about. And he wasn't Catholic, but she was. And he went along Sunday to go to Mass with her. And he said outside there were all these members of Sinn Féin with buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Shaking the buckets. Yeah. Support Sinn Féin. And the parish priest walked out and he knew them all. He didn't say, come on, off the steps. So they were asking people to come out, and people put in £10 notes in, 50p, pounds, and everything like that. So the Catholic churches say, well, we want a united Ireland, and we want Dublin to be the capital of this united. That's what this is all about. It's politics. And of course, Northern Ireland, you have got some opposition towards this from Ian Paisley's party.
Yeah, I mean, Stormont has been reopened.
Stormont's been reopened. There was a deadlock for a long time, but does seem to be going their way, because they have had the elections in Ireland, and Sinn Féin have done very, very well.
Both sides of the border.
Both sides of the border. So their aim is to have, right, you've got a united Vietnam, you've got this, that. Haven't got it in North Korea, South Korea.
Yes.
Yet. But why can't we have United Ireland? And I often thought they'd change the name of Dublin to Sands in memory of Bobby Sands. Might be wrong. Did you see this? Have you watched any of this? What do you think about this? So the death penalty, it's acceptable sometimes. But you've got to make sure the killer doesn't get more of the spotlight than the victims. Well, of course, the whole thing is that the murderer does. We all know these guys, you know. You look at some of the...
They're glamorised, aren't they?
They're glamorised, some of them. I saw something last night about Ronnie Biggs. You remember Ronnie Biggs? One of the great train robbers. And he came out in quite a good light. And yet these guys, when they robbed that train back in 63, bashed old Driver Mills over the head with a heavy spanner. He was never right again.
No,
that seems to be passed over, and it seems so often we remember all of these people, the great train robbers, and all
the mafia films,
and all the mafia films and so forth. Now, talking about the mafia, someone's picked up something about the abortion mafia. And it looks like some of these clinics, or these people who promote the morning after pill, it used to be called, I'm not sure what it's called now, the morning after pill, are aiming at little girls. Because you might grow up one day, little girl, pop it, as they call you, pop it, and you might be in need of something. What can you do? You go to your mother, she's not very helpful. You go to your teacher, we can help you. And they're pushing these, I'm not sure they're called now, but they used to be called the morning after pill. So they're aiming at this market, and it's a lucrative market. And Trump said he was...
It's big pharma, isn't it?
It's big pharma again. These are the people who are probably involved with COVID and all the rest of it and everything like that. Aim at these little girls, but keep this to yourself, because you may need this if you suddenly get pregnant, and and don't tell your parents.
Do you know what I heard years ago? That kids in this country, girls in this country, need permission to take paracetamol, aspirin if you are in the US. But apparently, if a young girl gets pregnant in the UK, she can have a termination without the parents' permission.
Yeah. And of course, she goes
Does that make any sense to anybody?
She goes to a friendly doctor. He will arrange for it. And I remember years ago, the doctor who did the abortion used to get £8,000. That was then.
Right.
And that was a split with the GP who had recommended the girl to go to the doctor who did the abortion.
Wow.
So you recommend 2 or 3 girls a week to all this. You say, yeah, and you got to see your friend.
Like a referral fee.
Like a referral, yeah, that referral fee. He gets half of the... Now, the government were paying that guy to do the abortion. That was then, 20 years ago. I'm not sure now. If you know anything about somebody, please let us know. Bring our facts up to date. But these abortion clinics, the little girls, pills. There are also pills that come in, and they will tell you the nearest clinic to go to.
It's like in the US, isn't it? The what do you call it? In the black community, there's a term they use for it. And most of the blacks, of course, in the US have been targeted. Is it birth control? Birth control.
Birth control.
Another term they use for it in the US, and a lot of the Democrat areas, a lot of the black people in Democrat areas in the US are actually housed near these abortion mills.
Yes.
Been a lot of stick over the years.
Yeah.
The blue states, as they're called in the US. See, in the US, it's different to the UK. Our system over here is slightly, it's completely governed by the government here, whereas in the US, it's more of a private sector. But either way, it's still big business from the standpoint of big pharma, whether here or there. In fact, prescriptions in this country are still pretty expensive. Yeah. They're free in Scotland, I think, but they're not free in England.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Scotland's got a different thing. Yeah. But this is the old abortion thing. And funny enough, I remember when we lived down in South London, I knew someone who took a girl who did need an abortion. She went along to the local GP and he wouldn't give it.
Yeah.
Now, he was married to a very devout Catholic lady. I remember her very well. I used to see her at Mass, always deep in prayer. And he was a doctor. He said, I'm not doing it. Oh, no, not doing it. And he wouldn't do it. She had to find another doctor. Say, yeah, I'll do it. I'll refer you to an abortion clinic, get my 4,000, whatever it is. So I thought that was very interesting. The guy wasn't Catholic, but he wouldn't refer anybody towards.
See, it goes back to these Muslim doctors, Muslim pharmacists, Muslim politicians. They'll push for LGBTQ rights, but they won't give it to their own families.
No.
They'll push for this or that, but they wear the veil. And this goes back to years ago when we first moved up here. We got into a heated discussion with a Muslim market store holder.
Yes.
He was criticizing, indigenous girls, how they dress, and one of our brothers who's now with the Lord, he said, but you people, you sell sexy clothing, can I use that term? And of course they do. And some of you people sell, alcohol and tobacco in shops, and they do. and you're turning around criticizing indigenous British girls for the way they dress and how they behave, and yet you guys are allowing it. You are aiding and abetting it. And it's a good point that he made. It's quick. These people are quick enough to criticize, indigenous people who, for the most part, are lost in this country. Britain lost her soul years ago, but these same shopkeepers and these tailors, market store holders, they'll let your kids dress like that, but they won't allow their own children to dress like that, or drink alcohol, or smoke, so on and so forth. But you can do it. Your kids can do it. But they won't allow them. They won't allow their own kids to do it.
Well, talking about veils, you were saying yesterday, we were doing some street work in our local town yesterday, and you were saying you're always surprised when these Muslim ladies come up to all the veil, with all fully kitted out and everything, and take tracts.
Yeah.
And that's interesting, isn't it?
And the eyes sometimes smile.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done trekking for a lot of years now.
And you are surprised about that. And I'm surprised when they take it from me and they thank me.
Yeah.
And, of course, as we say to them, they start getting a bit funny. Jesus is one of your prophets. Blessed be his name. He's a prophet. You're one of your prophets. You claim as one of your prophets. You claim the virgin birth. You accept the virgin birth.
They do, yeah.
There we are. You don't go along the crucifixion. No.
Or the Son of God.
Or the Son of God. No, we don't go for that. So they're quoting about that there. And we knew a guy years ago whose sister-in-law did work in a hospital in the emergency department. And he told me, I don't know if he's lying or not, I knew him quite well, and you knew him as well. He said these Muslim women would come in and they'd take the veil off and they had black eyes and a broken nose. Their husbands had done that. Their husbands had beaten them. And the husbands say, well, it's in the Quran. I can discipline my wife. Are you telling me I can't discipline my wife? And they'd say, that is assault.
It's quite clear.
And these poor women had black eyes, but of course they're all covered up. Didn't it suit the husbands to have that?
Well, I wonder at the judgment seat how many veiled Muslims that we've spoken to in this country, directly and indirectly, have been secret Christians.
Wonderful to think of it, yeah.
Because, of course, they can't come out and say it publicly.
No.
I mean, they get into the whole sin of apostasy, and they suffered terribly for it. But yeah, it was good. We gave a load of tracts out yesterday, back on the streets after the live stream, and people do take tracts. I mean, it's Muslim people. In fact, here's a quick story. Patrick went home early yesterday, and I was still tracking. This young lady passed me. I've seen her before, I say early to mid-30s, and got a couple of kids in tow. And she's obviously indigenous, and she's a bit smarmy. And she said to me, "What's that?" I said, "It's a Bible tract." "I'm a Muslim," she said. I looked at her. I've seen her before, and you've got to make a split decision. Do you challenge it, or do you let it go? In the past, I've tried to challenge it, but she keeps on walking. Yesterday, I didn't challenge it. But I thought to myself, what's happened with her likely? She's met a guy who's converted her. She could be number 2 wife, I don't know. And now she's like Sinead O'Connor, the late Sinead O'Connor, or Lindsay Lohan, who's converted to Islam.
I know her.
Celebrity Muslims, of course, famous people get into Islam. And when you pursue these people and you say, what made you become a Muslim? It's a guy they met. Or, why did you become a Catholic? Oh, I met this girl. Years ago, when we lived down south, we got talking to a guy next door to us. He was Greek Orthodox. And I spoke to him a couple of times. Very fiery brand character from, I think, Portugal.
Yes.
Or somewhere maybe somewhere in Europe. I forget where it was.
I think it's Portugal.
But he was Greek Orthodox. And he said to me, you know what? He said, she's the love of my life. She's the love of my life, points to his wife. I never saw, but I heard these two always arguing, apparently.
Yes.
And he said to me, she's the love of my life, so on and so forth, but she's a Muslim.
Yeah.
And I said to him, so what happened? Well, I had to convert, he said.
That's right.
And he said, blankety blank, 4-letter words out of his mouth. He said, but it's all the same thing in religion.
Yeah, same God.
I said, no, it's not. I started to correct him on Allah versus Jehovah. But here's a guy who went the whole 9 yards, took the cut, quit eating pork, all that stuff, became whatever he became as a Muslim, married the love of his life, and then about 5 years later, surprise, surprise, they got divorced. The point being, he didn't become a Muslim because of Muhammad or Islam. And these people don't become Catholics because of Christ or the church. They become Catholics because of their families. It's always been that way. When Sammy Davis Jr. nearly died back in the early 50s in a car crash, he woke up in hospital with a rabbi sitting next to him.
Yeah.
A rabbi. And old Sammy, he said, oh, nice to meet you. He said, I'm not very religious. Of course, he wasn't. And the rabbi said, I saw on the paper you've been, in a serious car accident. I wanted to come and see how you were.
Yeah.
It touched Sammy so much.
Because no other denominational minister had come to visit him.
Yeah. That the guy became a Jew.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Of course, later on, he got into Church of Satan.
Yes.
But the point being, he converted to Judaism, and I think had a Jewish burial.
I think he did, yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, what we think is so small, and it is just passing out a gospel tract. You've got no idea where those tracts go. I mean, I don't want to guess how many people we've spoken to directly or indirectly over the years. Many people, of course. And when I see Muslim women all veiled up and smiling with their eyes,
yes,
it really touches my heart.
Yeah.
It really does, because I don't know where those tracts are going to go. But on paper, if I was to say I'm going to go out today and speak to, I don't know, 25, veiled up Islamic women, no way. They won't even look at you.
No.
But when you start giving out tracts, there's just something, every so often, that connects between you and them, the gospel tracts. And I always pray, and we always pray these people do go on to get saved.
Well, one of the race that I've never been able to give tracts to, the Chinese, they will never take a tract.
It's hard.
It's very hard. But I'd like to put a question to Brother David. I'm sure he's watching. How are you, brothers? I hope you're well. You've given out a lot of tracts as we have. How do you find this with the Muslims, especially the women who with the veil and everything like that? Please send us a comment. I'd like to know how you find this, and how do you find the Chinese as well? Right, so we carry on now. What are we looking at now? Still so much happening now. In some of these Catholic sites that I'm reading, these are Catholics. I'm very interested in one site I went to, a very intelligent, clever woman there. She's a top attorney in Chicago, and she said, I've taken on the Archdiocese of Chicago many times over abuse of children. And particularly she named the Cardinal Cupic, his name is. I looked him up. He's the Cardinal of the Windy City. Reminds me of that other Cardinal they had years ago. Do you remember? What Cardinal was that? Cody, what a character he was. He was treated like royalty, this back in the 60s. And apparently he used to go in an awful bender, awful alcoholic, like Spencer Tracy did. And he'd book a hotel room, get drunk, start smashing the room up and everything like that.
Wasn't he, didn't the police have to sort of bail him out a few times with mistresses?
Everything like that. Cardinal Cody. Very powerful man, but he smashed the hotel room up. They'd cover the whole thing up. This is the Cardinal. He'd be put in a car and he'd be taken back to the Archbishop's house. Cardinal Cody always carried about a couple of £1,000 around with him, his mad money, his dollars he would call there. And he'd go to the Vatican, he'd be summoned to the Vatican, see the Secretary of State. We're not happy with what you're doing here, Cardinal Cody, you're doing this. And he'd take out, he'd peel like a couple of thousand, he'd say, there, son, say a prayer, say a mass for my mother. Oh, thank you, $1,000. Wow, money talks. So this Cardinal Cupic, is very close to this new Pope. And this woman her big thing is child molestation. And she said over 250,000 children go missing every year. They're trafficked, they're sexually abused worldwide. Now, she said, I don't know what your town's like, but if 250,000 children went missing from your town, something would be happening. She said, we had a couple of girls who went missing in my town. I think she's from Chicago. Helicopters are out, SWAT teams have found these little girls. She picked up that this Cardinal Cupic was very close to Robert Previs, who's now become Leo XIV. And she went back and looked up what the position was when he was bishop in Peru. A lot of stories were coming out of young girls being sexually molested by priests. They went to see Robert Previs, Bishop Previs, and he said, I know it's awful. I know there's nothing I can do about it. But I will talk to the priest concerned about this. Oh, will he be good? Oh, no. We want to keep this in-house. And he spoke in a very quiet tone. I suffer with you. What can I do? But I will talk seriously to these priests, and nothing's done about it. She's picked this up. She said, when I heard he'd become Pope, I thought, because he's part of this at all. And she said, and that is interesting what she said. You and I would think this. She said, the Catholic Church is the deep church, part of the deep state of the global, performing the global agenda. Wow. Now, if you and I said, they say, oh, you're anti-Catholic, don't like what you're saying. This woman said it, and she's a devout Catholic. She's calling for the magisterium of the church to come back. She's not happy with what a lot of these guys in the Curia are doing. She goes all around the world, everywhere. She's been to the Vatican several times. She met Francis. She said, he's a lunatic. Oh, this is a Catholic. I didn't say it. She said, he's a lunatic. But the deep church, part of the deep state and the global agenda. And she said, now, and this will come out, dear old Cardinal Siri, do you remember it? Is controlled by communists, Freemasons, homosexuals, and they're pushing the green and the LGBT agenda. Now, where have I heard that before? She's saying this, and she's got these contacts around the world. She's got her own website and everything. And she said, Bergoglio is a lunatic. But he's covered up by the most successful Vatican public relations office in the world, the PR office. Wow. You think all these guys praying, don't you, all day and saying the rosary with their own and saying the Angelus and everything.
Too busy moving money.
She also picked up, then I'll come to the main part about Sister Lucy and something on Sister Lucy, that she's very critical of this deal that the Vatican did with the church in China. Church in China set up what they call the Patriotic Church. We'd like to make our own bishops. I don't know. Normally the Catholic Church promotes their own bishops from among the Chinese. They don't like this at all. And she's very sick of this, and she keeps complaining about it. The 10 Catholic bishops who were removed from office and are in prison. Some are in work camps. These are Catholic bishops. She said nothing. Francis didn't do anything, and Cardinal Parolin, good old Cardinal Parolin, we talked about him before, the Secretary of State, he signed this deal. And the Bishop of Hong Kong, Cardinal, I think his name Van was, he said this is a deal with the devil. He's selling out all those Catholics in China for this patriotic church. You promote their own priests, probably part of the secret police there, their own bishops and everything, which is exactly what Stalin tried to do before the Second World War. And she said she'd found out that Robert Prevost had many times visited China. On whose orders? Pope Francis, Cardinal Parolin. What's he going there for? And I think she sort of allude sometime. He was incognito, is that the word?
Yeah.
Incognito, not wearing all his bishop's robes.
Unofficial.
Been there many times. What's he doing? He's going there. And she's saying she hopes now that Parolin will pull this deal with China under Leo's blessing. I don't think he'll do that at all. I think it'll stay. I think it suits the Vatican to be in bed with China for the deals that they do. I mean, look at China. They control all the world now. You go and buy anything nowadays. Yeah. Tires, washing machines, televisions, made in China, made in China. You rarely find something not made in China now.
Yeah, definitely.
So it suits the Vatican moving things around like that. So I thought that was interesting. She's talking about that Catholics must pray for the magisterium of the church. It's not going to back the way it was before. Since Vatican II, the agenda's been the social justice and the green theology. They're the English now, justice and peace, and all of these things have come out of it. She's also picked up, or I think there's one other method, some of the papers of, we've talked about this gentleman before, Annibale Bugnini. He was the points man when they were changing the Mass. The old order of Mass went, and in came the Novus Ordo, the new order. Doesn't it sound military to you?
Yeah.
This reminds me of, the Wehrmacht during the
Illuminati as well.
The new order. This is the new order. Whereas before we had the Holy Mass, or we have the Holy Bible. Let's change the Holy Bible. This is the new book order. Oh, right, it sounds like something out of 1984. Remember 1984, George Orwell, some things he kept, Room 101, do you remember that? Big Brother is watching you.
The Thought Police.
Laugh. The Thought Police, we all laughed back in the 50s, nothing like that.
Not laughing now.
Not laughing now. Room 101, I wonder what they got in store for people like her, but I hope nothing at all. But she mentioned Bugnini, how he'd gone to see Pope Paul VI. Unfortunately, it turns in this other blog site, Paul vacillated. It's a word you don't hear much now. He was like that Hamlet. He couldn't make his mind up. And this Annibale Bugnini, on behalf of his masters, has said, here's the new Mass, the new Novus Ordo. He would look through it. Oh, now you old Catholics, you know what I'm talking about. Do you remember the Kyrie eleison? Part of the Mass. Christ have mercy, Christ have mercy, Christ have... Lord have mercy on us. There were 9 of them. Bugnani said to Pope, too many Kyrie eleisons. We've got to cut it right down. We'll just have one. Oh, but I was rather fond of this. Because I think Paul was a traditionalist at heart, but he couldn't make his mind up. Then they cut out the last gospel. Do you remember this in the Catholic Church when you went to Mass? In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Gotta go, too long. It might offend our non-Catholic brethren. Right. So Paul watched that go, and I think they trimmed the Mass down. I'm not sure. It's from 42 minutes to 29 minutes. That's shaving a lot of that down.
And of course, the folk Mass came along to beef it up again.
Altar rails went. Pulpits went. Pulpits are barriers. A man's up there looking down at you. Why is he looking down at you?
Yeah.
We want him standing on the altar. That altar rail is a barrier.
Yeah.
Can I still wear my white collar? That's a barrier, isn't it? Now, some priests said, I don't wear the white collar. We knew a guy who wouldn't wear it. He said, it's a barrier. Maybe, didn't wear it. But those altar rails overnight. Nuns came in. The wimples had gone. Do you remember what the nuns used to have? That all went. They had their hair back now. And I knew one nun, and she said, we spent a whole fortnight, we hired a hotel, debating what we could wear.
Wow.
And we came up with grey tights, stockings, as she called them, lace-up shoes, and we could still keep it if we wanted to. And she always did wear. She was one of the old...
It's very pharisaical, isn't it?
And there was one young nun there, I remember, who was a nurse. She wore jeans and T-shirts, but she still got to be called sister. So that was interesting. Paul, of course, vacillated. It was modernism, as she said. It was an international modernism, and it came through. Greenham Common I talked about there, Cruise and so forth. Now, what seems to be happening as I read the American blogs, and I'm not sure what's happening in Europe. If you know anything, please tell me. The traditional Mass, the Tridentine Mass, is making big comebacks. Young people are attracted to it. Families are saying, I'm taking my children or teenage children to the Latin Mass. They wouldn't go to the other Mass, the Novus Ordo, the New Order. don't forget that new order, because that's what you have to say it called now. And they're taking it. And one of the promoters of this order is Cardinal Burke. Cardinal Burke is one of the senior cardinals. I think he's been 50 years a priest, and he actually got a message from the Pope. But Francis didn't like this guy because he was pushing it too much. So when he went to Rome, he took away his grace and favour flats. When these cardinals go, they have an apartment given to them.
Yeah, right, state in favour.
It's called, we
call
call
grace and favour.
We call them grace and favour. We have it here for the royal family. They don't pay rent, but they have these grace and favour flats in Chelsea and Knightsbridge and all those sort of places. Yeah. And Francis said, "You're not having any more." Took it away from him. And I believe also these cardinals, they go there, they have holiday apartments by the sea. In Caesarea seems to be very popular. Haven't I heard Caesarea in the Bible?
You have many times.
Yeah.
Did people say that I am?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the Vatican own a lot of these holiday seaside apartments. Interesting that these cardinals go to and go and have a swim and everything like that. Yeah. He took it away from Cardinal Burke. Now, Cardinal Burke has been a pain in the side to Francis, no doubt he was, and he suffered in other ways as well. Anyway, he was interviewed. He comes across, he speaks very slowly, very kindly. He's a cardinal. He's got a load of degrees after his name, and he's saying now that he thinks the tide is turning in America, that the Latin Mass could come back to overtake Novus Ordo, the new order. Not sure about that, because still a lot of these bishops are pro the new order. And Cardinal Arthur Roach, and I found a quote from him. Cardinal Arthur Roach is an English cardinal. I think he was one of the cardinals, actually from our old diocese, Southwark, I believe. I'm not sure. But he was one of the auxiliary bishops in Westminster. And according to one there, he was one of the popular favourites to take over, to become cardinal when Basil Hume died, and it went to Cormac Murphy, as you know. Yeah. Arthur Roach says, when he brought it up, he said, the Pope abrogated, finished it. It was signed off. The Latin Mass. There we are. He said that. Wait a minute, says Joseph Ratzinger, who later became, what was he? Benedict. He says, it was never abrogated. Oh, I'm a bit confused here. I'm a Catholic. I'm confused. Was it signed off by Paul VI, or wasn't it? Was part of it signed off? Not so, says Cardinal Ratzinger, who helped to put forward the agenda for Vatican II. And this year, funny enough, it's the 50th anniversary of the closing of Vatican II, 1965. So we'll see what happens there. It seems some of it's crumbling a little bit, some of these ideas of Vatican II. Some of it's been reclaimed. I mean, these things do go in circles, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Something comes out there. I was looking at something the other day, and flared trousers are coming back in there. Where in the 70s, the flared trousers, oh, they went out, we don't wear them. But they're suddenly coming back in. These dress designers and trousers out and coming back in there. But Arthur Roach says it was abrogated. Benedict says it wasn't. I'm confused. However, Cardinal Burke, back to good old Cardinal Burke, who's been pushing this for a long time, he's up a lot of opposition, which a lot of the bishops are saying, Latin Masses won't be held in my diocese. We'll lock the doors. Oh, right, we'll lock the doors. And one guy, he's the Archbishop, I think somewhere there, he sacked 3 of the professors, the lay professors in one of the seminaries. And these guys are in the 1670s. He sacked them just like that, because they're getting some idea that they can see which way the wind's blowing. Oh, I see. Yeah, Latin Mass. Perhaps it ought to come back in the seminary. Start teaching the priests Latin.
It's not going to happen.
All happen. And Burke says, because of this, and this I thought was interesting, he said he's asked a novena. He was the Archbishop, I think, Cardinal of St. Louis. Yes, it was St. Louis. And he's asked that diocese there to set up a novena to bring this all back and to pray to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, I don't know a lot about Guadalupe. All I know is that somebody said, oh, yes, Europe's got Fatima, Europe's got Lourdes. South America, Mexico, have got Guadalupe. Now, apparently, Our Lady appeared at Guadalupe. Guess to who too? 3 peasant children again.
Yeah.
Never appears to one of these intellectuals. One of these theologians says, now, come here, you theologians. This is what I want. It's always these innocent children. They're claiming they saw the Virgin Mary, as the kids at Fatima did. I think they saw something.
And Bernadette.
And Bernadette. They saw something, there's no doubt about it. But these kids in Portugal, they were put in prison for telling lies. Oh, the lady said this, the lady said that. They were quite clear about it. They saw something. And of course, this word got round. She appeared many times actually in Fatima. That a correspondent from the Times went along and took a photography. And he actually, crowds were there, and he said something did happen.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't a Catholic, this guy. He was a reporter for the Times of London.
See their own eyes, can't you?
And he said something happened to the sun. Because the children are saying, look, the sun stopped, it's starting to go round. And he said, it looked like it did go round. We would say this is a demonic appearance. The devil can do anything.
Within reason, yeah.
Within reason. Well, if you get that sun to spin round to tell these children it's a Virgin Mary, and she said, you must pray for Russia. Ah, this is interesting. And to convert Russia, of course, they think to convert to Catholicism. Oh, right. And I found a quote here from Sister Lucy. I'm going to come to her in a minute. She said in the 60s, now I've got to get this right, when Jesus was born in Matthew's Gospel, it says the angel, you probably know this better than me, did not call for peace on earth. Yes, the angel called peace.
It's Luke.
Luke, sorry. What did it say? Peace on earth and goodwill to all men, right?
Yeah, those are goodwill.
Yes.
Luke 2.
Luke 2. But she says, peace on earth to men of goodwill. Ah, men of goodwill.
Yeah.
And John's 23rd come along. We open the church to men of goodwill. Ah, right, this commonist, whoever you are, if you're a man of goodwill.
So vague, isn't it?
It's so vague. I mean, who's a goodwill, you know? And poor old Cardinal Minzenti, who'd been beaten up by the Germans when they came there, and he was in a concentration camp, and they came back, and then the Russians came, and they took him over as well. And he was beaten up, and they did all sorts of...
Was that Hungary?
Cardinal Vincenti of Hungary, yeah, that's right. He stood up against them. They say he'd had the Germans. In the end of it came, then the communists came in.
Was it 15 years he was incarcerated? Hiding American embassy?
I'll come to that. Yes, he was.
15 years.
But the communists are very good. They were bringing prostitutes in there and dancing in front in provocative ways. And he said, "Are you girls Catholic?" Oh, yeah. Of course they were. Most of these girls were, but they tried to break. They never did. The Hungarian Revolution comes along, 1956, I believe. The Russians leave. They come back later with the tanks. He escapes. Goes to the American embassy, which is quite near where he was. He said, "Can I see a political asylum?" They said, "Yes, you can." And he was there for 15 years up on the second floor. They couldn't touch him. And the KGB, or their equivalent in Hungary, had 2 cars that sat outside with the engine running 24 hours a day, just in case he walked out and they got him. He never did. And of course, at the end of it, he goes back to meet Paul VI, and he's seeing people, and Paul VI is coming and saying, "These are men of goodwill." And he's thinking, "Oh, these men, they beat me up, they starved me, they did this."
Good Darwinists as well.
Darwinists as well. What's going on? And he was so disillusioned with all of this. So that's what I'm saying then. So this is what Lucy said. So I think that's probably all I'm going to say about Cardinal Burke. He certainly sees something happening there. I don't know whether it's really going to happen. This woman I was talking to, she thinks that this Pope will be Francis Mark II.
Oh, yeah.
And Francis Mark II is going to push more agenda and Jesuit agenda that Vatican II did, and that is the social agenda, social justice agenda, and the green ideology. That's what he's pushing.
And greater ecumenism as well.
And she said he had a terrible temper, and I've seen some woman who went to kiss his ring. Do you remember that? He snatched her hand and slapped her hand back. She had an awful temper, and she said, unfortunately, these guys come Pope, nobody looks into their background, but he had an awful temper, and he bought a lot of baggage from Argentina. Oh, I wonder what this baggage was. He never went back to Argentina either.
Like Ratzinger didn't go back to Munich.
Couldn't go back to Munich, couldn't go back to it. Although he was the Archbishop of Munich after he became Pope because of the cover-up of the sexual scandals. I think Interpol had him down. If you left the Vatican, we've got you. They did it to Marcinkus. You remember good old Archbishop Marcinkus? The cover-ups there. He couldn't leave the Vatican. And finally a deal was done. He was able to go back, and he went to Arizona. He went to a retirement home in Arizona. We had a letter from a lady who was there, and they knew him very well.
Called Father Chink.
Father Chink. She said, we didn't know anything about it. He never talked about his years in the Vatican. Wow, he was 10 years in the Vatican. We thought he was just a parish priest from Chicago. Well, he'd originally been from Chicago, got taken up. He became Paul's bodyguard when Paul went on his tours. Big guy, ex-football player, and he came out there. Archbishop Marcinkus, yes. Father Chink, we called him. I rather like that. Whatever happened to Father Chink? Oh, he spent a lot of time on the golf course, as a lot of them do. So we've leave with that. Now, something else I picked up was quite interesting. Oh, yes, when John the 23rd called for the Vatican II to begin, he said, we must dismiss these prophets of doom. Oh, new approach to the faith. We've got to find a loving faith now, what's going on. Prophets of doom, we don't like that. And of course, people like Sister Lucy who saw this apparition, I will call it. I don't know what it was. She saw the apparition. She talked about many souls going to hell.
Don't believe in hell anymore.
I don't believe in hell anymore. If you say that, you're a prophet of doom. So she backtracks. Now, this guy I'm meeting to, he's a Catholic, and he's looked into this, and he's found out that the pictures of Sister Lucy, there were 3 children, Lucy, the boy and the 2 girls. They died a couple of years after the apparition. She survived a good old age, Sister Lucy. Something slightly happened in the 60s, Vatican II. She had family, a big family. She was a nun. She'd gone in one of the closed Carmelite convents. She said, we're not happy with this Vatican II. Our Lady's not happy with what's happening in Vatican II. Oh, right, they're doing away with the Mass. We're not happy with that. And she was talking about all of this. And then something suddenly changed, because in 19 1965, which was the 50th anniversary. I think, was it 1917? Yes, sorry, it's 1917. On the 50th anniversary, 1967, my sum's right here, 1917, 1967, Pope Paul VI went to Fatima and he met her.
Yeah,
and somebody said, hey, she looks different. Wait a minute, 50 years ago, she was 10. This doesn't look like a woman of 60, and you can see it. I mean, this woman looks like a woman of 40. And she came out, and she did this later, and she took his hand and she went like this, as if to say, we did it, boss. And this guy reminded me, you know, when they have these boxing matches, the guy's on the floor, the guy comes out and he takes his hand, he says, we did it, didn't we? And he holds up there. And she was shaking her hand there, saying, we did it. And said, that's not Sister Lucy.
Yeah.
That's not Sister Lucy at all. And he did some pictures. Unfortunately, she wore the wimple. You could only see her face, but you see her chin. And of course, God's wonderfully that we all have different fingerprints. We have different earlobes, and now we have different eye gates. You go to these top hotels, none of this card business, swiping cards. You look into a camera, don't you?
Yeah, right.
And opens it. Wonderful, you know. And someone said, where's the real Sister Lucy on? They said, well, maybe she was, you know, not too happy with what's happening in Vatican II. Maybe she was removed. Somebody said, well, this is what happened to Paul VI. He wasn't happy signing a lot of all of this. So the CIA got involved. Oh, the CIA. They took some photographs of Paul VI and they said, this Paul VI is not the original Paul VI. His earlobes are different. His eyebrows are different. They can pick up nostrils. All this. This is not it. So one guy said, we recorded one of his speeches that he gave when in the old Paul VI, and the voice levels are a different person altogether. Because we all have different voice, you know, speech patterns, as they say. Who was this guy? Was he... We know that he was attacked when he went to the Philippines. Marchenko was there. Somebody ran a knife and they said, oh, it's just a scratch. Somebody said he almost died from it. Somebody said he did die. They brought the imposter in. Or that somebody else, a book that we had years ago, The Inverted Cross. He wasn't playing ball. Oh, not playing ball. So he was removed. Actor was brought in and he was kept in a cell in the Vatican.
Yeah.
Wow. So you got a double for Paul VI, you got a double for Sister Lucy, you got a double for Sister Lucy, and this Sister Lucy, she died. I think she died in 2015. So there we are, and looking at the evidence, and this guy, he's a doctor. He sent this to some coroners that he met, and they said, and these coroners, this guy's done a lot of post-mortems. He said, yes. He said, I would be surprised, you know, if she was removed. This could be a crime scene. Oh. Possible murder.
Wow.
Was she murdered, this nun, and this other woman was brought in? He said, now what sort of woman is going to spend her life in a closed Carmelite convent? Not much fun, is it really? He said it could be she was a nurse, and he brought back the thing about Rudolf Hess. Do you remember this Rudolf Hess man? Yeah. This man in the Vatican? Was a double put there for him? And you look at some of them and you think, yeah, and it happened when he flew. Rudolf, as we know, flew to England with the peace proposals to give to the Duke of Argyll, I think it was. Church said, no, we don't peace proposal. We want all-out war. Church was always a warmonger. So he was held up there and he said, can I go back to you? No, we're going to keep you here. And one of our old relatives, one of her relatives was guarding him when he was up in there, and he jumped over the banisters, tried to escape, broke his leg. They think the switch may have happened then, because when he went to Nuremberg at the end of war, he went to Nuremberg, he's in the dock with Ribbentrop and Goering and all those other Keitel, Jodl, Raeder, all those other people. He didn't seem to know what was going on. He'd been put in there.
Like a Manchurian, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. So the real Rudolf Hess has gone. Church, and he goes off to Spandau, gets life in Spandau, and he lived to a good old age. 20 years before, he never wanted to see his family. The new medical orderly came, and he wrote a book about this, and he said, I looked up all his notes, and I see he was very badly wounded in the First World War. A lot of these guys thought, and he's badly wounded there. Awful scar. Prisoner, I think he was called Prisoner 1 in Spandau, complaining of stomach pains. Could be cancer. He's 80-something. Let's do an x-ray. Wait a minute, that scar's gone. Where's that scar? He says, where's the scar? Look, what scar's that? Well, you were wounded in 1918. You nearly died. The bullet ripped through then. There's an awful scar. It's all in your notes here. No scar. So was he a double? Then finally, this old man, he's got arthritis. He can't lift up. He's very bad there. The guards have changed on that last day. Do you remember all of this? There's been a lot of appeals to Mrs. Thatcher, Reagan, please let him out. Russians say no, because every month we march our troops into the West Zone where the Spandau is.
That's right.
And we guard 40 guards guard this one man. And next month, the French come in, then the Brits come in, then the Americans come. They take it in turn just to guard one man. This massive, great prison there.
Symbolic, wasn't it?
It was symbolic, but it got them into the foothold, into the west there. And they could have put sleepers in there or Manchurian camp. I don't know. So what happened there then? He commits suicide. Oh, this is interesting. Yes, there's a summer house there and there's a light there. This old man who can't lift up, he's got awful arthritis. This doctor, I forget his name. I'll try and get it for you next week. He said, yes, we had x-ray. He's able to take the bulb out, get some wire, put it down, put it round his neck and kick the chair away.
No way.
He committed suicide and that's the cause of death.
After 50 years in prison.
After 50 years in prison. And he's able to climb up there, take a bulb out. I mean, I changed bulbs at home and I find them a bit difficult and I've got arthritis. Thank God, praise the Lord. And that's it. Oh, it's suicide. He'd had enough. He was 97 by then. His son looked at him. He said, I looked down, I could see it, there was no scar. My father did have a serious wound. I think he got the Iron Cross for this, for what he did there. He's a very brave man in the First World. A lot of these guys, they got Iron Crosses. So was he a double? Sister Lucy, was she a double? She wouldn't go along with the reforms of Vatican II. Was she quietly removed? A doppelganger, the word I was brought in. Did this happen with Paul VI? And Paul VI, they brought this actor in. We've heard this story, talked it many times. Many of the bishops came to, he didn't know they were. And some of these, he'd made bishops. And they're looking down, I told the famous story when Louis Armstrong went there, and you know who Louis Armstrong was. And Louis Armstrong gave me, we brought you some of our records. And he looked at the record and he says, oh, I see you play the trumpet. He said, but don't worry.
You could say that.
You could play Louis Armstrong, one of the great jazz trumpeters in the world. He didn't know. But he said, one day we'll all be blowing the trumpet when the angel Gabriel comes back. We'll all be blowing trumpets. You know. And he asked some other obvious questions. I remember when he said to them, he said, you boys Catholic? And he goes, no, sir. Said Louis says, Salvation Army. All the band went round there. Church of First Church of Christ, Mormon, blood. And he said, Church of Christ, Salvation Army, the Episcopalians. I think I've heard of them. The Pope thinks he's heard of these churches. Salvation Army, Episcopalians, Methodists. I think I've heard of them. Anyway, I digress here. So that's all I've got to talk about this moment there. Oh, yes. We've got a summit coming up. Can you tell us when our summit's coming up? And where?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, you caught me in the hop then.
I'm coming to something else in a minute about seeing
yes. Alaska.
Alaska.
Friday.
15th of August. Just another day, isn't it? Well, not really. It's the Feast of Our Lady of the Assumption. And what happened on that? Our Lady was assumed up into heaven.
Bodily assumed. Because
God would never allow, and Jesus would never allow his mother to lie and rot in a grave. No way, Jose. This had been around for a long time in the church, but in 1950, Pope Pius XII, and I believe that happened when he was having shaving one mirror, and the steam was on the mirror, and he cleared the steam, and Jesus looked at him.
Yeah.
And Cardinal Spellman got up and said, I wonder who's most surprised. Jesus looking at Spellman, Spellman looking at Jesus. And he said, my mother was taken up into heaven. Bodily assumption. It's been around, but I can tell you that. And it became the dogma of the Catholic Church. So this meeting between between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will happen in Alaska.
So who decided that? Melania?
Decided that. Melania. Why Alaska? All these other places. Why Alaska?
It's a strange state.
It's a strange setup. And it's very interesting because some of this is a bit like Yalta. You remember when the Yalta conference, 45. Stalin came to Yalta. It was on the border of Russia. Poor old Franklin Roosevelt had to fly in a cold plane over the Atlantic to be there. And Church had gone by, and it was Truman. And he was very ill. And you can look at the pictures of him. He looks very ill there.
Yeah, he was.
And this suited Tony. He was dying. He had cancer as well, and he had all sorts of things there. He had to fly 3,000 miles over the Atlantic for this peace conference, and didn't Stalin get what he wanted? Divided up. I'll have this, and this. Half of you goes over there.
Of course, later that year, Churchill leaves.
FDR
dies.
FDR dies. In comes Harry Truman. In comes Attlee, Clement Attlee. And so that's
both Freemasons.
Both Freemasons. That's interesting as well. So nothing just happens.
No.
And so yes, we've got the summit here to talk about the Ukraine. Someone was saying that the agenda that they're going to agree on has already been agreed on.
It must have been.
They can't walk around and say, well, we couldn't get anything, we don't know what to do.
They wouldn't be calling this.
They wouldn't be calling this. And there's this guy called Steve Wyckoff. Have you heard of this guy? He seems to be Trump's ambassador. He flies around. Special envoy. Here's his old golfing buddy.
Yeah.
And he seems to fly around with all these proposals. He overrides Mario Rubio.
Catholic.
Well, wait a minute, he's the Secretary of State. He overrides him and goes and meets all these people. Because he's Trump's, he's Trump's golfing partner. So he's obviously taken an agenda there. Can we agree on this and this and this? And Lavrov, who's still there, the Russian foreign minister, say, yeah, we can go along on that. So, yes, the Feast of Our Lady of the Assumption. She assumed into heaven, but Jesus couldn't let his mother rot in the grave.
This goes back to a 4th century document. A lot of forgeries when you go through church history.
Yeah.
And this is nothing new, of course. In fact, twice the Catholic Church has taught infallibility. 1870 concerning papal infallibility. And I got a book about that. And 1950, I think it's 51 or 50, when Pius XII, Hitler's Pope, of course, officially decreed that Mary was bodily assumed into heaven.
Became dogma. Yeah.
The Church of Rome are obsessed with Mary.
Yeah.
I mean, they see her as this great goddess. And of course, most Catholics, they know of Jesus, of course, but they don't know him personally. They spend more of their time thinking about Mary because, of course, they can approach Mother Mary, as they call her. She's not so rough around the edges as they see Jesus to be. But twice in the Church of Rome have decreed themselves to be infallible. It's to give the Pope infallibility, 1871, to allow a later Pope to come along and say Mary was bodily assumed into heaven.
And the Immaculate Conception, Vatican I. Remember that? Immaculate Conception, Mary conceived without sin.
Yeah, I mean, you go through church history. There's a great book called there's a book written by a guy called O.C. Lambert.
O.C. Lambert, yeah.
It's a good book. It's a 2-volume book, and it's called Catholicism Against Itself. So many forgeries, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th century. Not just the apocryphal books that we would all throw out as Bible-believing Christians, but so many spurious books and publications give the papacy so much authority.
Okay, well, that's it. So if you've got any ideas on that, I just want to end with one thing, which I should have got to when Leo XIII met. It was National Youth Day. He met them in Rome. Somebody said there was 500 million young people there, maybe more.
500,000.
Someone said it was like Woodstock. Do you remember Woodstock? The big hippie thing back in 1970. I wasn't there, but I remember reading about it. And his theme very much then was, I didn't hear all of his speech, was the green agenda. Save the world, save the planet, and all of this. And he's sort of very cleverly doing this, or as this woman would say, the Vatican PR office is pushing this out, that this is not only my world, it's your young people's world. You've got to save it. The poles are melting, the oceans are rising, we're burning all this fossil fuel, we've got to stop all that, we've got to do all of this. We know the oceans are rising because Al Gore said so, and he was vice president. And one of these bishops was saying, when people say to him, come, they say, we're told that all of this global warming is a hoax. It's a money-making thing. No, he says, if you do that, you are committing sin. And you're our in-house theologian.
No.
Could you define what sin is biblically?
Sin is the transgression of the law, and it's missing it by a mile. It's not just what you should do.
Yeah.
It's not what you should do, right? But when you do wrong as well. We call the sins of omission sins of commission. I mean, you know it's wrong to steal, at least I hope you do, and blaspheme or disobey your parents. But at the same time, it's always the right time to do the right thing. Open your mouth for the Lord. Many times we don't. We just read the Word of God. Pray. These are things that we should do, and many times we don't do. The Catholic Church, because they're into postmodernism, the belief that they have to bring in a better world before Jesus comes back, they're so upset. Again, it's not just Mary. All things green. 2 Peter chapter 3 says that one day God will destroy this earth.
That's not very good, is it?
Pretty negative, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, they destroy the earth.
And
will a delegation be out to see him and talk him out of this, you know?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
Henry
this
Kissinger's
will get so
character.
crazy.
Well, they'll drop this in. They'll say, yes, there's a special delegation being set up to go out and see God and say,
Jesus, you're too harsh.
could you just back on this?
You're
You're
too harsh. Or can we speak to Mary?
Or can we speak to Mary about
She's a good mediator.
She's a mediator, because he's a bit of an angry old God, isn't he? Destroys things,
Yeah.
floods the world and all this sort of thing. Could you talk to him? Now, we're told that she can intercede to her blessed Son. Don't hear much about her interceding with God. Don't know why.
Well, I guess they would suggest that Jesus has a better relationship with the Father than anybody else. I mean, the whole thing is just blasphemous, quite simply put. And because these people, here's the bottom line. These people don't know the Lord, number one. Number two, heaven isn't real to them at all. And number three, everything is subjective. In other words, all they believe is what they can see. If they can't see it, they can't touch it, it's not real to them. So, of course, they know of the Lord, they know of heaven, they know of hell. But the great fear for the Catholic has always been purgatory. Because they all see themselves, and rightly so, as, most of them do anyway, as imperfect people, unworthy people. And that's why most Catholics, when they get up in years, if they're wealthy Catholics, start to donate big time.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump's giving millions to the Catholic Church on behalf of Melania. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Look at Murdoch.
He could be an honorary papal knight like Murdoch,
Yeah.
who wasn't a Catholic, his wife was. He could be an honorary papal knight.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But we know for a fact that Murdoch substituted,
Yeah.
subsidized the Hour Power. Remember the Hour Power?
Oh, the Alpha, that's right.
The old Schuller Crystal
Yeah.
Cathedral
That's
in
right,
California.
Yeah. Rupert Murdoch.
He actually gave them 1 hour
Yeah.
TV time
Yeah.
every Sunday morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
No, we did radio years ago. It cost a lot of money to buy radio. Shortwave.
Yeah.
Television, astronomically expensive. And here's Rupert Murdoch, because of his first wife, who was a Catholic, basically saying to Robert Schuller, I will pay, I'll pay it myself. Why is he doing that? Good works, of course. All these famous people, it's good works. It goes back to the old joke. Who do you back? I back both sides.
That's the old joke, isn't it? I back both sides. My guy always wins.
My guy always wins. My church always comes through.
Yeah.
Whether it's a C of E or the Catholic Church or the charismatics or the charismaniacs. And that way, if there's a God, that's what these people say, because they're very shrewd after all. If there's a God, all my bets are covered.
Just getting back to these young people hearing this from this bishop, that this is a sin. This global warming thing is political. It's political, no doubt about it. And they're saying if you don't support this political decision,
it's also fashionable to support.
Fashionable by the government, you're committing sin. You've got to go to confession and confess this. And if you die in sin, not looking good. Hell, doubts about hell. Purgatory, no way. Purgatory does exist. So I just wondered about that. And this reminds me of the old in the old Soviet Union and now in China. If you don't toe the party line, you go to prison. So you're saying here, if you don't toe the government line, i.e. global warming, you're in problems. We won't prosecute you, but you could be in sin and you're denying God.
It goes back to the Chinese credit score system.
Yes.
They have a credit score system, and it may come here quite likely. And they credit score all their 1.5 billion citizens. And if your credit score is low, you don't go to university, or you go to a second-rate university. It reminds me of the Soviet Union back in the 50s and 60s. If you weren't a member of the Communist Party, you missed out.
Yeah.
It wasn't compulsory.
No.
But of course it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah. You didn't get the perks like going to university, getting a grant.
Get good jobs.
Get good jobs. Father's not in the party. And, you're set. And in China, same in China. Mm-hmm. In fact, you remember this thing years ago, you could only have 2 children because the population is too much. And if they were girls,
one-child policy.
One-child policy. Mm. Girls, can't have girls because girls can have babies, but boys, that was it. Mm. So should we talk about Candace Owen and the Macrons? I'm joking. No, No, we're not going to talk about that. Candace Owen, she's an interesting woman though, all the same, isn't she? I mean, she does rake up some quite serious problems, Candace Owen.
Well, she became a Catholic about a year or so ago. She married this British guy called, I think, George Farmer.
Yeah.
I put a couple of videos up against Candace.
So I've got some pollen in
the problem with people like Candace, not only is she a convert to Catholicism, these people are always firebrand zealots. Yeah. Mostly down to ignorance, of course, and a bit of arrogance thrown in. But she's towing the old pre-Vatican II line without realizing it. And that's why she's going after the Jews.
Yeah.
Pre-Vatican II, the Catholic Church was very clear. The Jews killed Jesus. We have to pray for them to be converted, so on and so forth. Persecute the Jew, which of course they would do.
And they did.
It wasn't just Hitler. No. Many popes did the same thing.
The idea of what they were doing, putting the yellow star.
He certainly did.
Came out from the Catholic Church back in the Middle Ages. You had to wear a yellow star. Oh, you're Jewish. He came up with that idea. Oh, Goebbels did. Hey, I like that idea. Yeah. You'll wear a yellow star. Isn't it simple?
And Goebbels was Catholic.
And Goebbels was a Catholic. Seriously thought about becoming a priest. And he had the qualifications too.
And even Hitler wanted to become a priest.
Yeah,
Himmler,
toyed
Catholic.
With the idea. Himmler, Catholic. Another one toyed with the idea. His brother was a Jesuit. Goering, of course, I think was Lutheran, but had no religion.
He was more of an atheist.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Candace she's a bit of a loose cannon, really. I mean, she's Vatican II Catholic, technically. Lets her kids go through the church system. Has probably had her kids baptized or christened, I would imagine.
Would she be pro the Latin Mass, do you think?
She may well be.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, she's like a traditionalist.
Yes.
In some ways.
She would be. She's not a reformer, but she could be a traditionalist.
But the stuff she's coming out with, I mean, she's backing the Palestinians over Israel with the Gaza situation. Other stuff she gets involved with, which we shan't discuss this morning.
No.
That's more political. But it's a great shame because she can see through the LGBTQ stuff,
Oh yeah.
Black Lives Matter. But like all these people we said over the years, they're very good at spotting and exposing the fads, signal virtualing, as we call it. But unfortunately, once religion bites these people, it bites them bad. And old Candace, she's a very bright girl. But I'm not sure sometimes, a lot of these so-called conservatives, I think they're liberals at heart. I think Alex Jones is liberal at heart. But it pays to pretend to be conservative, to sort of play the game. I think also...
Is Trump a conservative?
No, he's social democrat. He's a liberal Republican, like Schwarzenegger.
That's right.
Yeah, he's not a conservative. He's liberal.
But he wouldn't claim to be conservative, would he? No.
He's a liberal. 3 wives. Come on. But the point being, someone like Candace Owens, the way I look at her, she's got a huge platform. She's very articulate. She's very popular.
Yes.
But she won't go after the Jesuits. Goes after the Jews. Goes after maybe secret societies to some extent. But she will not go after the Jesuits. How can she? They are the shock troops of her church. In fact, you've got a book, haven't you, on the Jesuits? Just show our audience your book. And I put an appeal out to Candace. Unlikely she's going to watch this video.
Never know.
But I said to Candace, you're a bright girl, and you don't seem to fear going after French presidents and their spouses.
And who cares?
Well, I guess our audience does.
Who cares?
But how about these guys? What's the name of this book? What's the name of the book?
The Shocking History of the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus.
Who are these guys?
These are the Jesuits founded by Ignatius Loyola.
Who was he?
Had a vision in a cave. Who else had a vision in a cave?
Yeah, a guy called Muhammad, I think.
That's right. And a snake was involved, was it?
And a bit more.
And a bit more. And of course, old Ignatius Loyola, he has a vision of a talking snake. Wow. A talking snake. And they're telling him what to do this. You've got to fight for the Holy Father.
But why were these guys set up? Why were the Jesuits set up? Who are the Jesuits? See, Candace Owens will not tell her audience who the Jesuits were or are. They were set up to push back the King James Bible. That's my book. They were set up to push back the Protestant Reformation, which set my forefathers free and probably yours as well. They were set up to keep the Catholics enslaved to Catholicism.
And there's a symbol there. Can you see that?
IHS.
You'll see this all. Yeah, IHS. You'll see that wherever you go. In fact, I was going through South London a while ago. We had a run down South London. I saw this lovely old house, and it had this symbol in cement. Where the brickwork had been rendered, this had been cleared away with this IHS. So whether it was a mother house or superiors, I don't know. It was flats now. But somebody, when they refurbished the house, they kept the symbol there.
Just spend a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, just giving us a bit of a rundown. The first Father Superior, as they call the guy.
Well, they have what they call the Father Superiors. I think it's been 22 to date so far.
The current one is the Black Pope, by the way.
The current one's the Black Pope. There's one of them. He's the one who came after.
Just show
that's
on camera.
That's a very serious looking.
What's his name again?
Jansen. He was from Belgium. He was one of the superiors. But the most famous one, as far as I can see, was Pedro Rupi. He was the most controversial one. He was in Hiroshima when the bomb was dropped.
Got a photograph
in Japan. I'll try and find it as I'm talking. Pedro Rupi.
He's the guy with the thing around his neck, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, he was arrested by the Japanese secret. They said he was a spy for the Americans.
I think it's earlier on in the book.
Earlier on in the book, is it?
At the beginning, I think.
He was arrested there, but Hiroshima was flatty when they dropped the atomic bomb, and we now know that the Japanese government were putting out peace feelers 6 months before. Can we sue for peace? No, we can't. We've made a bomb at, what was it called?
New Mexico?
No, in the desert. What was it called? They were all involved to make this bomb.
Manhattan.
The Manhattan Project. That's right. In the Arizona desert. We've made this bomb. We want to try it out.
It was Fat Boy.
Fat Boy. And we call it Fat Boy. We want to try it out. And just to make sure it was, we'll drop another bomb on Nagasaki.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Just to be sure. Millions killed, but millions died slowly of the radiation that came from this. It's not so much the bomb that exploded, but the radiation. It lingers everywhere. It's like this strontium-90. This was very, you don't hear it much about there when they were testing these bombs. Americans test their bombs. We didn't have down in Bikini Islands. It's the strontium-90. It gets in the atmosphere. It can bring on all sorts of disease. Possibly a lot of these diseases that come, we never had 100 years ago, has come from strontium-90. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's a terrible thing. So that was murder, as I see it. There he is. There's Pedro Rupi there. Can you see him there? Can you hold that up?
Just give us a bit of background who this guy was.
So this is Pedro Rupi. He was there when the bomb was dropped. Head of the Jesuits. He was very much pro the theology in South America.
Liberation theology.
Liberation theology. And this was Marxism, another word, you know, they put it there. And also there was another thing, that you don't hear much about it now, but it came at the end of the war, worker priests.
Yes.
Somebody came to Pius XII, I don't know what, they said, look, we've got all these priests in, they had a lot of priests there. They're living in comfortable parishes. Why don't we get them working in factories? Oh, right. After all, our founder was a Jesuit. Our founder was a carpenter, a man who used his hands, who was a workman. So these ideas came out, were tried out in France, worker priests. So these priests got ordained, they went to work in the factories. The Renault factory, I remember. What's some of the other French factories? The Renault.
Fiat. Peugeot,
that was factories. And of course, they're getting involved with trade unions. And
Socialism.
Socialism coming in there, and people are saying, we've had a pay rise, we're going to go on strike. And of course, these worker priests were saying, yeah, we're going to go on strike. Because they were priests, they could articulate these causes there, whereas the ordinary workers, they'd say, you're very good, can you articulate our case to the bosses?
Wouldn't Karl Marx be impressed?
Wouldn't you be impressed at these worker priests? And they're pushing this first. Anyway, Pius XII said, no, I'm not having this, and pull them all back there. But Pedro Rupi, he came back into Rome, and it was going too far, this liberation theology, according to John Paul II, that he said, no, it's time you went to Pedro Rupi, and they said, okay, we're self-autonomous, we can choose our own leader, as a lot of these religious orders can. No, he said, I'm going to put someone in there, and he put a guy in there called O'Keefe. I always remember his name. I think he was Australian. And he imposed this guy in there, then he was there for a while, then the next guy came in, but he stepped in there and stopped all this. That was Pedro Rupi. There he is in the dock, accused of being a spy
and
for the OSS.
And here, of course, is Paul VI.
Oh, Paul VI, yeah.
With the Black Pope.
Yeah.
And of course, we think this could be the imposter Pope.
That could be the imposter Pope. He's got different ears and different voice levels as well.
As you've got to realise, this is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, the Catholic Church.
You've got to keep the show on the road.
You have to keep the show on the
yeah.
as I say, show business lasts. Yeah. The show must go on.
The show must go on.
But this book is called The Shocking History of the Jesuits. G. Patrick and James G. Patel. If you want to help the ministry, get a copy of that on Amazon
or research.
Apple.
Luckily, I was able to get a lot of books long out of print. You mentioned O.C. Lambert, he was one of them.
Yeah.
Who mentioned the Jesuits? Ian Hislop, is it Ian Hislop?
Babylon. Alexander Hislop.
Hislop as well. There was someone else. Avery Manhattan. He spent a lot of time.
A lot of these books are out of print as well.
They're out of print now. If you see them, please get them. I was able to get them quite cheaply from book fairs that I went to. Pick them up, for as much as less than £1. But very easy to read, especially Avro Manhattan, O.C. Lambert. They are reading. People say, "Oh yes," and they were concerned then about what these Jesuits are doing. And last thing, we get a Pope who comes in who's a Jesuit, and he's pushing the Jesuit agenda. Is this man going to be Francis Mark II? Who knows?
Just about the Vatican II, just very briefly. Yeah. 62 to 65, of course, nearly 3 years, in fact. It started late 61. The idea was, of course, to bring out other groups into the Catholic Church, Protestants, Freemasons, and many others, of course. Then it became interfaith as well.
Under Rome.
Oh, yeah, the Pope was always in control.
They're daughters of the Church. Or as somebody said, they're whores of the Church.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. They're whores of the Church.
But this has been the biggest criticism of your conservative Catholics, that the church as it is today is too broad. I mean, it stands for everything, and yet it supports everyone, and it stands for nothing because it's so broad, isn't it?
Well, they started off by bringing the Church of England in, then the Methodists. The Methodists were a bit slow, but they eventually came in. The Baptists came in, then the American, the Episcopalians came in, and all these little groups came in. And then the Vatican looked around and said, yeah, we need to spread out a bit. What about the Muslims? Yes.
And the Jews?
And the Jews, and the Buddhists, and the shamans, all those holy men that we see, the Red Indians, let's bring them in. But the Muslims, you've got to get them in. And to show them how much we respect them, the Pope will kiss the Quran.
Many times.
The holiest of all books there. He actually kissed them. Yeah. And of course, they're in the mix now. This happened at Assisi. Remember that conference they had at Assisi?
86.
86. They all met there, and they all stood there. We saw all the men, the shamans, the Red Indians, the Muslims. They're all there. The Archbishop of York was there. Each religious organisation had a delegate who was there.
What they want,
it's one world church.
They want unity in spite of truth, quite simply put.
Well, they've had the one world government, as we know now, as this woman talked about the global elite. Let's have a one world church, one world religion. Yes, why not? One world currency. Half the world's got the euros now.
And here's the proof in the pudding, as I say. Cardinal O'Connor, excuse me, in the middle. St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. He's got a couple of Masons next to him. And this is my Masonic book. It's called The Hidden Truth About Freemasonry, the Catholic Church and the Illuminati. They're all in bed together. And you can get this on Amazon or Apple as well. And in this book, we talked about after World War II. Excuse me. How the Masons basically came together. Get the photograph to show you. In the political world to put all the churches together. See, the ecumenical movement started before World War II. That's Mrs. Roosevelt. Very strange. Look at that. Look at the hand symbol. It's a V pointing down.
Apparently later we found out she was a prominent lesbian.
She may well have been, yeah. But the plan had always been, after World War I, find the photograph, to bring all the churches together.
And apparently Hillary Clinton went to have a seance to get in touch. According to Bill, do you remember this story?
In the White House.
To get in touch in the White House with Mrs. Roosevelt.
Yeah.
The Clintons were going through a bad time. I don't mean a bad times. I think it was the Whitewater thing come up there. And somebody said to Hillary, you know, let's go to a seance. Let's find someone there and see if we can get in touch with Mrs. Roosevelt, see what she used to say. And Bill was quite proud of it. He said, yeah, she got it. I don't know where she did get in touch. She got in touch with the spirit or somebody.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Mrs. Roosevelt. But this is the thinking of these people. You know, oh, we're up against the wall. Let's have a seance.
Yeah.
Let's invite them to the White House. Oh, yes.
If you are a member of a church, any kind of church, Protestant, Free Church, Charismatic, Calvinist, always ask the question, why doesn't your pastor ever talk about this type of a thing? This guy is a Protestant priest. He's a vicar in our state church, and he's a Freemason. And when I started to write this book as a manuscript back in 2004, I read a lot of books, obviously, about Freemasonry. And there's a good quote from John Ankerberg, and he said this. He said, still live, of course. He said when he travelled around the US giving talks, there were certain topics he couldn't talk about.
Yes.
And one of the topics was, of course, Freemasonry, because a lot of the churches he went to, the men who were leading the church were Freemasons, and always be suspicious if your church doesn't discuss Freemasonry, ever. The Jesuits, any kind of secret society, but more importantly, why they don't preach the gospel. Going back to Leo's address to 500,000 Catholics in Rome last week, no gospel, no repentance, no new birth. It's all about, let's make this a better country, a better world, a better country. Let's save Mother Church and Mother Earth and all that jazz. And these people, I tell you, there's a special place in hell for these people.
Yeah, just go back to something. I'm a great admirer of Peter Ruckman. Always enjoyed listening to him and his when he did Chalk Talk. Very, very good. Wonderful artist. Always enjoyed listening to him. And I've got several of his books, and I actually spoke to him on the phone, and he signed them. And I remember he did a series, Why I'm Not a Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Why I'm Not a Methodist. Why I'm not an Episcopalian. Why I'm not a Jesuit. Why I'm not a Mormon. Why I'm not a Freemason. Wait a minute.
No, he didn't.
He didn't do that one.
No.
And I remember phoning up to put an order in for the books, and I spoke to one of the guys there, and I said he seems to be a great admirer of Bedford Forrest. Bedford Forrest was the leader of during the Civil War. You had the North against the South. You know, every child knows this. Slavery. Leading the South was Bedford Forrest. He set up, possibly in a roundabout way, the Ku Klux Klan to protect the women, the pure women in the South, the white man from the Negroes who were coming in there. Ruckman was a great admirer of Bedford Forrest, but he never took the Freemasons on. No. He put all these other ones, and I remember he said, "Oh well, you know, he's probably looking at it, he's probably sketched it, but he never wrote it. He wouldn't touch them." But great theologian anyway.
Yeah, I mean, every preacher has their weaknesses.
Yes, they do.
Here, of course, is Abraham Lincoln, and you get the Jesuit book. You want this one as well?
Yeah.
This is Patrick's manuscript. It's a good manuscript, and just spend a couple minutes if you want. Just explain some of the main points.
Pick it up, about Bedford, not Bedford Forrest. John Wilkes Booth, who jumped on the stage, shouted out victory or death or something. Tempest. And had already shot Lincoln in the head, and he tripped up and sprained his ankle. Of course, a big manhunt came there, and I've got a little cheap paperback called The Manhunt, and it was all about how the Secretary of State, I forget his name now. Can you remember the Secretary of State?
Johnson?
No, not Johnson. Well, funny enough, Lincoln's vice president was Johnson.
Oh, here we go.
And here we go. Kennedy's vice president was Johnson. Lincoln's secretary was his wife, Mrs. Lincoln, and Kennedy's secretary was Mrs. Lincoln. Yeah. There's a lot more. It happened in 1963, 1863, so forth. But I wasn't really thinking about that. There was this manhunt to find what's the name, Lincoln, and that's supposedly a photograph.
Wilkes Booth.
Wilkes Booth. Can you see that photograph there? This was discovered in an archive. It's supposed to be, can you just hold that? Lincoln. I'm not sure. It must be a very early photograph. This would have been taken in 1863. This would have been taken in 1863. I'm not sure what it is, but it certainly looks like him.
Another couple of pictures in here, which are quite interesting. Wilkes Booth with a potential doppelganger. Do you remember those two pictures we had?
Yes, a doppelganger. There's nothing new about this. Sister Lucy, Paul Hicks, Rudolph Hess. It's an old trick, isn't it?
I mean, Revelation speaks about the depths of Satan. You know, his depth he'll go to, and most people don't really appreciate just how depraved the devil actually is. Yeah, so John Wilkes Booth was a convert to Catholicism.
Yeah.
What the lady called Mrs. Surratt.
Mary Surratt. Now, Mary Surratt was a Roman Catholic.
Big time.
Big time. And she had a boarding house, and boarding houses have tenants who stay there. And half of these guys involved in this, and what's her name, Wilkes Booth, had stayed at her house.
That was it.
No, that was it. Yeah, the two pictures. Yeah.
Look at these two pictures.
Yeah.
Now, you got Booth and Boyd, and a lot of interesting stuff about these two pictures that were taken around the same time. We're not overly sure what actually happened to Wilkes Booth. I mean, the official line was he.
They got him.
Was taken out, obviously, when he found the barn.
Buried, secretly buried somewhere, like they did with Himmler in the forest.
And Timothy McVeigh. Remember Timothy McVeigh?
Yeah.
The first Twin Towers attack.
Yes, another one. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm always very suspicious. Stanton, that was the guy's name. Stanton
had to take over because Johnson was notorious drunk and he couldn't do it. So Stanton got it in, and Stanton hadn't originally backed Lincoln.
Just read that last paragraph you wrote about
this one here.
Yeah.
Stanton had also suspiciously had Boyd brought from prison before assassination of Lincoln. Perhaps Boyd will be briefed and paid to impersonate Booth, but of course being unaware that it will be him who will be later shot dead by Sergeant Corbett in the barn. And that's where he was supposed to be shot officially, allowing of course Booth to escape Stanton's justice in Washington.
A lot of stuff like that in the book.
Never successful, of course. In those days, you know, they said, oh, he did, that's the end of it, and people accepted it. Yeah.
And this book's called Did the Catholic Church Order Abraham Lincoln's Assassination?
Yes.
I just want a little bit of light relief, if this has all been a bit too heavy for you. Word of God speaks about resting and recuperating and rejuvenating yourself. And if you like a good Christian novel, this is Agent of Grace. And a lot of fun writing this over about an 18-month period. British spy, works for MI6. And he becomes a believer later on. A lot of interesting roads he has to go down to become a Christian, and a lot of stuff about Mossad and the CIA in here. But the great story is, of course, the guy becomes a believer.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult route to salvation, tough route to redemption. And Agent of Grace is my first Christian novel, and I enjoyed it so much. I actually started to write volume 2.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, before finishing and publishing volume 1. And again, if you want to help our ministry, you can go onto Amazon or Apple. There's an audio. In fact, a lot of these books have audio recordings if you don't want to read. Excuse me. So my voice is going now. Agent of Grace. And just check the comments. Any thoughts or prayer requests?
Anything from Brother David? I did ask him to let us know how he is finding tracking. I'm sorry that I'm spluttering here, but the pollen's very high today.
My voice is really...
And you're dry. I actually did take an antihistamine tablet this morning because I knew we were going to be up on the moors, and the pollen's very high today. It's getting in my eyes and so forth. So I think another half hour, and I think that'll be it. So apologies for wiping my eyes and wiping my nose, but they say the pollen's quite high.
And God bless you all. God bless you, Brother Kurt. Praying for you in Boston, of course, Massachusetts. And always grateful for our moderators, for Juliet, David and Elaine, and please Keep our moderators in prayer, especially during the live Bible studies that I do. A lot of verses I put into the chat by Brother David for those who haven't got Bibles to hand. So bless all of our moderators. And get David's book, One Way to Grace. And please give us a like. We've got 50 people on the line. It's probably higher than that. It does fluctuate, but only 30 likes. So please give us a thumbs up if you'd be so kind to do so. Hotels full of Mohammedans. Army for Charles. You mean Charles the Third? King Charles?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, they're talking about the immigrants being put up 5-star hotels.
For Charles's army?
For Charles's
Sounds
army.
a bit
Well, they're
stretched.
Muslims, of course. Yeah, it's a bit stretched, but who knows what goes on in the government corridors of power.
And blessings to you in Nashville. Chastity. And the question here is about the gifts of the Spirit, of course. How do you have sensationalism and be filled with the Holy Spirit? When you're first saved, you are filled with the Holy Ghost. For by one Spirit, are we all baptized into one body? I mean, those who hold to the gifts being for today, okay, there's 5 of them. And I guess the burden of proof would be on you, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you think they are for today, okay, fine. Don't waste time in live chats like this, or you're like a hospice and get busy. Lay hands on those sick people. But of course they won't. It's like Catholics, they come into these live streams and make nuisance of themselves, make fools of themselves, and try to put us right. You Catholics wouldn't go into a Muslim live stream and push the RCC, but of course there's no point, because according to your church, the Muslims are going to go to heaven anyway without Jesus. Yeah. Blessings to you in Oxford, David Parker.
Oh, that's how, yeah.
And who else we got in here? Wendy, blessings to you in Birkenhead. I hope you and Stuart are well today. Praying for you and your husband, as always. Well, we don't deny the gifts, but we contextualize the gifts. But of course, the bigger issue is the fruit of the Spirit. There's 9 of them over in Galatians 5. And unfortunately, a lot of people get stuck on the gifts of the spirits are mostly tongue speakers, which of course you can learn. You can memorize some of the gibberish, but the fruit of the spirits is of more importance to us than the gifts of the Spirit. But for the record, Patrick's gift is as an evangelist. Mine is as a teacher. Thank you, Brother Daniel in Australia, for your donation of $50.
Australia? Wow.
Yep, I think Melbourne from memory.
Melbourne.
Blessings to you, Brother Daniel. Catholics worship the sun god Tammuz, Nimrod's son.
Yes.
Trump is meeting Putin about possibly giving Alaska back to Russia.
It originally did belong to Alaska. Did originally belong to Russia, as it was called, the Soviet Union now, but it was sold beginning of the last century, I think, or something like that, to America, and they've held ever since. Russia's always said that they got done on the deal. You know, they didn't get the full amount, so they'd probably like to have it back. But it worries America a bit because it's very short. I think it's 2 miles from America. There was even talk of building a bridge.
You mean Russia to America?
Russia to America.
2 mile.
2 mile with the water between them.
The icebergs.
The icebergs, yeah. So there was talk about building a bridge. I don't know, do that now.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's going to be an interesting summit to watch live.
But probably the agenda's been decided already.
But the date of the Immaculate Conception,
No,
body assumption.
Yeah, the assumption into heaven.
Body assumption, yeah. Very interesting timing.
Because Jesus wouldn't let his mother rot in a grave.
But of course, it's not about the body, it's the soul that lives on. I mean, our bodies are falling apart anyway. It's the soul that is precious, not the body. See, again, they are too materialistic. That's the word. They're too materialistic, the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
You know, your body will go back to the dust.
That's what they say. Earth to earth, ashes to dust, yeah.
Okay, churches in Peterborough, Northampton, unfortunately not.
What churches are these?
They want King James churches.
Oh, right.
I don't know really myself. I mean, we are, as King James Bible believers, we're spread far and wide. mean, there's people on the line this morning from the US, the UK, Australia, Europe. People are struggling for fellowship. I know they are, and that's why we do these live streams 3 times a week, in fact, to spend a bit of time discussing these things with the body of Christ. If I was to sit here this morning, this afternoon, and say, yeah, there's a good church, and I belong to that church, and the pastor is now a Lordship Salvationist, you come back to me, wouldn't you, and say, Brother James, you told me this was a good church, or you told me this guy holds the King James, but he's correcting it.
You can't really recommend, can you?
Or you say, they claim to be premillennial, but they're slightly flaky now. You come to me, and rightly so, and say, I can't trust this church. So unfortunately, we don't recommend churches. We tried this over the years. I mean, many times over the years, we tried to recommend places of worship with those all over the world. And most of the times that I can think of, it's come back negatively. So we don't recommend churches. I'm sorry, we don't. Because what you see online, or what you are told, through an article or website, isn't always what you find out to be so in reality. And also, some of the King James churches are into Lordship salvation.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these King James churches are post-tribulational. And some of these King James churches, they even use the sinner's prayer to be saved. So I don't want to be too negative. I'm not shooting down all the brethren. Well, of course not. They are family. Amen. God bless them. But always been very reluctant to promote churches. Pinto, a lot of good stuff he's done. He's got one on the American Jesuits, and he works very closely with Jet Chick.
Yeah.
Who uses sinner's prayer.
Yes.
And also teaches Lordship salvation. And this is the problem we see with some of our King James brethren. What you want are free grace churches. Ideally, Trinitarian, of course, King James, definitely, but free grace. If they're not free grace, they're Lordship salvation. Repent of your sins, pre-salvation, post-salvation. Some, not many, but some will hold to conditional security, which you don't live it, you lose it. Another major problem that I have with a lot of these groups. But ultimately, you want King James, once saved, always saved, grace.
Yeah.
If you can find those 3 points, or those 3 truths all coming together, then God bless where you are and stay put where you are. But if you can't, you're going to have troubles down the line, because, like I say, they'll start to backload the gospel, front load the gospel. They'll judge you, basically. They'll judge your clothing, they'll judge how you speak, what you do. They'll question what you say and carry yourself, and they'll start to become pharisaical. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, but we don't recommend churches. We teach the King James as our final authority. We say you're saved by faith alone in Christ alone, plus nothing, through his shed blood. And we hold to free grace, like I've already said. And we also teach, and we do promote, not as a primary, but as a secondary truth, if you can, especially you brothers out there, get some tracts and go into the streets. Women, we don't recommend women doing this. Men, certainly, because most brothers who are filled with the Spirit of God and love the Lord God want to get people saved. We are evangelists at heart, and you'll meet more people that way on the streets, and you will go from church to church. When we first moved up here from London, went to about 6 or 7 churches, all dead.
Yeah.
All dead. Went to a brethren church, King James, but dead. No street work, no tracking, no nothing. And you'll find more people in the streets, not always, but many a time, who will say, you know what, I want to do what you do. Can I come and work with you?
Yeah.
But going to church buildings, unfortunately, a lot of churches today, they're just talking shops.
Preaching to the choir.
Preaching to the choir. Yeah. And that's why we don't recommend these churches. So again, not to be too negative. And if you have a good fellowship, okay, God bless you, stay where you are. All right, any final thoughts before we get off the line? And please to like, if you'd be so kind. And those who do buy the books, please, if you're able to do so, leave us a comment on Amazon when you finish. And let me know about Agent of Grace, what you think about this character. I'm doing volume 2, and I've done the first 10 chapters. And one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book was I was sick and tired of when I first got saved, nothing really to read or to watch online. It's all smuts or prosperity stuff. I've seen so many Christian movies And it's always the same thing, really. Prosperity, the guy gets saved, the woman gets saved, and the life is so perfect. That's not reality, people. Well, amen. But if it's not,
Yeah.
you got to handle that. I mean, sickness might come. You may become bankrupt, or you're, one of your children might die. You may lose a spouse, what have you. This is real life. I mean, this character, his name is David James, DJ. That's the name I call him. That's his nickname. He's a real person. Not obviously it's fictitious to understand. But what I'm saying is, that kind of a guy who gets saved later in life, a cold-blooded killer, he's got scars.
But it's a composite on characters you've known.
Definitely.
That you put into his personality.
Yeah, absolutely.
People you've known.
But what I'm saying is, this is grounded stuff.
Yeah.
This is real stuff. I mean, a British spy gets saved, like I've already said. And when I first got saved, I thought, this is a good movie, but it's lacking here. Or it's a good storyline, but it could have had a bit more here or there. So I wanted to put reality into the story, have twists and turns, so people, when they read this book, can actually relate to the character. Not go away saying to themselves, it just seems too unrealistic. So I had fun writing this book, like I say, and I finished volume 2. But in the meantime, Patrick's Minute Nights
coming along.
Is almost ready for publication.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that?
No.
Slightly different genre, but a very, very good manuscript. A brilliant manuscript.
Thank you. It's more of a sort of historical story. I wanted to sort of portray my character. His name's Walter Kuiper. What these people are like in their spare time. We all know about these torturers and
Just explain the background, who he was.
Well, he was Himmler's number 2 man. He joined the Nazi party at a very early age. He went out with Himmler. In those days, they were going around Germany on a motorbike. Absolutely true. Meeting all sorts. He met preachers who were preaching, but they were pushing National Socialism. The war was over. Germany had been betrayed. All of that. They wanted to do something about it. And it started in a small way. Walter Kuiper was there from the beginning. He marries this upper class girl called Karen. She's the love of his life. But in the meantime, he can weep over something that's happened there. But next time, he can sign a death certificate to someone. In fact, he kills several of these men with his hands, and yet he can go back and weep when his wife's not very well,
or the dog's sick,
or something like that. I base him on a lot of people I've read about. There was a guy I remember in Dina. It was the Alien Secret Police, and this guy was this awful torture. This guy,
terrible.
And yet he'd go home at night, play with the kids, give them baths, read them stories, and people couldn't understand. Going to see the neighbours. I'll cut your grass for you. How you doing, Joe? Doing an oil change? Let me give you a hand. They thought the world of the guy. He was always there. Somebody had a problem. Could you lend us a ladder? Got to clear the gutters. I don't lend it. I'll get up and do the gutters for you. Yet he'd go out the next day. He had a thing about communism, and of course, people are trying to overthrow Pinochet's government with a communist. So of course, he hated the communists. My character's a bit like this, Walter Kuiper. 1,000 pages.
Hopefully not as many as 1,000.
Well,
I've got to do some editing.
Yeah, no photographs, I'm afraid. Whereas with the other books, the Jesuits, we're able to put photographs in. I'm hoping to be done in the next couple of months. Hopefully, get to on Amazon. It's this historical thing. It goes through the Second World War, the rise of the Nazis, how Walter survives the Second World War, and he does survive. I put in there that Himmler survived. I think Himmler did survive the Second World War. I mean, this man was head of the secret police. He was even put in charge of all the armed forces in the last year of the war by Hitler. I can't believe a man like this just gives himself up with an eye patch, and he's just got a little bit. No, these guys saw the end was coming. They were able to get passports. They were moving money about. So many of these guys did escape. As we know, they went on the rat line. Who supported the rat line with passports? The Catholic Church.
Bishop Hoodle,
the German bishop. Brave pro-Hitler. Oh, you come and see Bishop Hoodle. He's got a lot of contacts with the Red Cross. We can get your Red Cross passport down to Genoa, on the ship, straight across to South America. That was the rat line. They all went there as well. And they did do it. And the Catholic Church blessed them. But of course, the Catholic Church then was against socialism, Marxism. Communism, very much so. Now they're very pro all of this now, so it's a different thing. So Walter Kuiper survives the war, but the punchline is, how did he survive the war? And Himmler's very much involved with all this. So it's a historical thing, and I've researched it, and yeah.
And it took nearly 10 years to write.
I think about 6 or 7.
Nearly 10 years. He started in 2016.
I think all of these things you'll find with your Agent of Grace. It's not so much the writing, it's the research.
Yeah.
You've got to research it. What's going to happen now? You've got to
it's got to be realistic as well.
It's got to be realistic. Could we do this? Could we do that? And writing is a very lonely occupation. I mean, you'll sit in front of that typewriter or your laptop or your computer and look at a blank screen. Yeah. It won't write itself. You've got to do this. I know nowadays people have got ghostwriters who help them. They've got AI. But in the old days, somebody looked at a blank screen, as I did, and I know you did as well.
Still do.
And some of the, as I say, you use a competent people that you've known, that I've known.
Yeah.
And you think, I'll put that in there because it's so unique. And I've done the same here. So I'm hoping this will be out. It's going to call Mute Nights.
No, it'll be more stronger than that.
No, it will be Mute Nights.
A bit tighter that people can resonate with.
No, it will be there. But the byline is, he was Hitler's number 2, that man. Now he's fighting for it to survive. But I've got great hopes for it anyway, and hope you enjoy it. Yeah.
So I think it's about 80 chapters, I think, so far.
Yeah, about 80 chapters. Yeah. So it'll be a couple of nights if you're reading it. Looking forward to get the film rights.
It's a really good manuscript. It's the best thing he's ever written. It's a love story as well between the two.
It is a love story,
and his wife.
And his wife, yes.
But it goes to about 5 or 6 decades with an interesting ending, which I won't talk about, of course.
Very interesting ending. I'm rather proud of the ending, what happened
but
there.
It's good.
And I wrote about places I knew. I mean, I mentioned Bad Oeynhausen. This is part of North Germany. My father was there at the end of the war. My father was in the what do you call it? The military police there. He was interviewing Nazis. Yeah, and he was interviewing Nazis in Bad Oeynhausen. So I put this into the book, and I was actually there because I went over there in 1945. I was there for 2 years. I spoke German very fluently. Gotten it all now. He was out there in Bad Oeynhausen, and so I put that into the book. And I've looked it up. Maybe I'll go there one day. I don't know. But your book, as I say, you've got to research it. You've got to get the idea. You've got to think: is this idea feasible? Could this idea work? You think, yeah, maybe it could. You've got to put yourself into character mode as well. You've got to put yourself in that's right.
How would your character do this, or how would he do that? And that has been quite an interesting experience for me, doing AOG 1 and now AOG 2. In fact, my plan will be to do a trilogy of these books.
MI6, MI5, have they got born-again Christians who work there?
Very few, I'd imagine.
It's very few. Now, you work for a government, or I won't say which government, you years ago worked for a government organisation. One of the guys came around and said, we have a Bible study at the lunch hour. And you looked and said, what's it got to do with me?
A smug Catholic, as I was.
And he said, if you want to come up, we're having a Bible study.
Top floor once a month.
Top floor once and whatever it was. So there was a germ of interest there. But this guy that said about probably was a born-again Christian.
I think it was Anglican. Now you mention it, about half a dozen people would go every week. So once a fortnight.
He wanted to share his belief with fellow co-workers.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, you didn't go, of course, because I'm a Catholic.
I'm a smug Catholic, you see, with my own world.
Happening there in this government organisation. Could it happen in MI5, MI6, SIS? Possibly.
I doubt it.
Would it be tolerated?
They're trained killers.
They're trained killers.
I mean,
and you do what you're told.
Yeah.
And this is what the SS did. The order came down, moved Jews from A to B. We do it. We obeyed orders, and our government obey orders now. I mean, they're just as bad what they've done. Yeah.
But anyway, it's fun to write. So thank you for your prayers and supports. Comment here. I have an idea, Brother James. Make the character of Agent of Grace. It's Turkey. On Mission 7 Church of Revelation.
Yeah.
Those cities of modern Turkey. Yeah, good idea.
Good idea.
Ruth. I like the idea.
So what I'm seeing, it spreads out.
Yeah, I mean, what I did with Agent of Grace 1, I wanted to keep the character pro-Israel because, we are premillennial at this ministry. But I wanted to make his life difficult, and I pushed the character as far as I could. He gets caught up with this love triangle in Volume 1.
So that's always dangerous.
It was for him. But it has an interesting resolution. And like I say, he gets involved, or he's asked to try and locate a missing Mossad spy in London. That was an interesting story to write about.
Don't tell too much.
No, but I wanted people to understand that this character, if he was real, of course he's not, his route to redemption would have been very difficult. And later on, of course, all his pre-salvation days would have scarred him basically. And I hope when people read the book and maybe one day turn it into a movie, that'd be good.
Yeah.
We'll
do mine first.
Do yours first. Bit of resonate with the character.
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
No, not Brad Pitt. But I think that's all from our end. So God bless you all. The hay fever is quite strong.
It's quite a strong day, the pollen. I don't know if you suffer for like I do.
Yeah.
A couple of months of the year, it's very strong. Unfortunately, we're surrounded by bushes and trees and grass. It's very hot.
But anyway, this is
recipe for this. So that's what I'm.
This is our new open air pulpit.
Yeah.
God bless you all. Might be back on Sunday to do either 2 Kings or Mark. I'm not sure yet. But a lot of stuff going on in my life at the moment. So please keep me in prayer, and Patrick as well. And thank you for your prayers and supports. And speak to you all soon in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Amen.